The Messerschmitt Me-410 Hornisse, or Hornet, was designed to cure the frankly appalling flying characteristics of the Me-210. Has this kit got any demons of its own? Find out with me right now, here on Gary's Stuff. Hello there, I'm Gary. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today is build day on kit of the week. That kit being the Italeri Messerschmitt Me-410 in 1/72nd scale. Now, if you're thinking about trying to track one down and get hold of it, why not check out the box opening video that's already available to see what you get inside the box for your money. If you've got one in your stash or you've got one on the way and you want to see someone else put one together, this is very much the video for you. If you like the channel, and I hope you do, please remember, give it the old imperial thumbs up on the like button below there, because every like counts. And if you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, and you'll be notified of all my future content as it is released. And of course, if you'd like to make a more concrete contribution to the channel, you can do that through super thanks, by becoming a channel member, or by using any of my online affiliate programs. Okay, enough of all of that. Let's make a start building this Messerschmitt Me-410 Hornisse in 1/72nd scale from Italeri. We're going to make a start on the cockpit, and first thing to do is put the pilot seat in. Make sure it's nice and central. The radio operator seat goes in the back like so. The radio faces go on the back of the cabin area for the radio operator co-pilot here. The control column sits in a hole in there. So then these instrument panels go in here, like so. These are really daft because there's a dial right at the joint where you have to put this in, so it's not going to sit very cleanly there. So it might just be worth taking off that bottom dial there, getting it flat so it can sit in place. It's not a greatest piece of design work there from Mr. Italeri. Okay, that's it all set. We'll leave that to set and we can then paint it on. There's no instruments decals in this set, so we're just going to do a bit of general dry brushing, but fortunately Italeri have put quite a lot of detail into the instrument panel here. Now you can see straight away it all leaps out, which is fantastic. I don't think they've done it on this instrument panel necessarily. No, they're just instruments. We can do a little bit of something around those. But as you can see, a little bit of dry brush really picks everything up, and do a little bit over the seats as well, just to pick out the edges of the seats. Tempted to think about doing some little I'm so tempted to do some straps, because it's, you know, it's a decent little layout here. Let's just go over the radio sets. Instantly again, they just leap out at you. Really nice. I'm very, very tempted to do some little straps. In fact, I'm going to. There you go. Executive decision. Going to do some straps. I'm going to put a few drops of colour here and there on these. Maybe just put a few little spots of white on here to make them look like actual instruments. A few little delicate bits of colour on here as well, just to pick out a few details, but other than that, I'll leave those generally speaking alone. But I'll put some straps in here and some straps in here, I think. So what I've done is cut some really thin bits of masking tape, really thin strips. I'm going to put them in here. I'm just going to add a bit of paint to them. Nothing dramatic. Just going to look like, you know, generic straps. Not going to be that accurate. Don't have to be accurate. Just have to be there. So, missed that bit. Alright, so what we'll do is a couple of shoulder straps as well. What I'm going to do with these, I'm going to come from a sort of common point, as it were, up there. And these can be the shoulder straps for the observer, radio operator, whatever he is, rear gunner, jack of all trades that sits here. Like so. Pretty cool, huh? I can paint these up in a bit. Just a bit of, you know, linen colour maybe, little buckle down there, and that's good enough for this scale and the fact it's going to be inside the cockpit. That's enough. I will do something similar for the pilots. Right, so we go. Some straps for the pilot and for the navigator, radio operator, whatever this poor chap at the back has to do. We'll just paint those up with some linen, put little belt buckles on some of them, and that'll be that. Job done. Just sort of be a bit creative. Use very, very fine brushes for this. I mean, this is a 5.0 round. Very fine brushes, just tiny bits of paint. Not too strong the paint, actually. Just if you have too strong a paint, it's going to go on too thick. It's going to try and bite with quite a big surface. So just a little bit. You can always go over it again. Just bits and bits of paint, bits of colour in the cockpit. This is completely inaccurate, but you know what? It looks all right to me. And more importantly, because of A, the scale effect, and B, the fact you're going to have a load of glass over this, you won't notice how bright everything is. It will actually look quite normal by the time you've finished, I promise you. Then we can put the cockpit section into the side of the cabin on the fuselage. It is a bit of a tricky thing. Okay, I think we're going to put that into the back there, like that. So that goes in there, that goes in there. You can see instantly how the sort of, I'm trying to point out, the horseshoe shaped tab there doesn't actually match up with the piece that's here, so that's handy. The back end, line up the back end, don't worry about the front end. Front end will look after itself. There we go. I think that's pretty much where I want it. Like so. And then we will put the two halves of the aircraft together. Okay, so here we go. Two halves kind of sit together. They go together very nicely, I have to say. They do go together straight away. No big dramas. This might need a bit of clamping to get over there. This piece will meet up nicely there. That piece will meet up nicely there. Yeah, I think generally speaking, if we put that under there, that's pretty good, you know, not too shabby. Right, so let's tape it all up, run some extra thin cement around the whole thing, then leave it to dry. There it is then. The seams actually meet up really, really well. We'll leave this overnight to dry. There it is then. The seams meet up really, really well on this little kit, I have to say. I'll leave this overnight to dry. Now the nose cone then goes on the front of the completed fuselage. The problem here is that this part kind of meets up and this part here kind of meets up, but it's not quite long enough for the two parts to meet up. So I'm going to sort of let this end go a bit more than this end. This end's going to go underneath the canopy, so it really needs to be spot on. Whereas this side, I think, you know, we might be able to get it fairly close just by tweaking it around a little bit. But this side, definitely we need it to be right up at the top there. So kind of the windshield goes over there, and that would be a pain to fill. This would be a lot easier to fill down here if we need to. This particular version of the aircraft has the rear-facing gun barbettes on it, so they just slot into these holes, and we just tack them with a bit of extra thin cement. Before you put the wing together, you need to drill out these holes. Now, if you're using the rocket packs like I am, you just drill out, sorry, if you use the fuel tank, you just put those 4. If you're using the rocket packs, you need all 5 on each side. I'm going to use a 1mm drill. In each half of the wing, we have this radiator grill that goes in, like so, just butts up against that. And as usual, a bit of extra thin cement to hold that in place. There's also this part here, which is the top of the undercarriage bay. Fits kind of like this. And when those are set, you can put the top half of the wing onto the bottom. Tape it all up, extra thin cement all around, job's done. So we'll make the engine nacelles now, and on each side we're going to put in this. It's the back of the back plate of the propeller, and then this bit holds it into the nacelle. I guess if you want to have them spinning, which I don't, so I'm not particularly bothered. Okay, I can put the 2 engine nacelle halves together now. The first thing to go in is the back plate for the propeller, because that's going on that. I don't care whether it turns or not, so I'll probably glue it up later when it's in the right place. There is a, get it working, a little face plate for the oil cooler on here. Either the oil cooler or the air inlet, I can't remember which. And then the other half of the cell can go on. It all lines up and hopefully clicks into place. Like so. You can always double check the placing of the oil cooler by just prodding through the back here. And then just extra thin cement around to get it all in place. Then you can put the exhaust stacks in as well. They're all sort of one unit with the shield and the vision shield as well, glare shield, whatever you call it. There you go. Let's go on like so. And that can go on the front of the wing. Yeah, it just fits onto the front like so. Okay. Interesting arrangement. I'm guessing this is the air inlet for the engine, and it's right just above where the exhaust comes out. But yeah, fair enough, must have worked. Then we can join the fuselage and the wings together. Just squeeze that down a little bit so it sits in very nicely. Lovely. Make sure it sits against the back here as much as you can. And yeah, there's a bit of play there, but not too much. I'd say not too much, it's quite a lot actually. Okay, there's quite a big gap there. Well, we'll fill those in. That's not the end of the world. We can do those. I wonder if... So this is where the bomb bay goes here. This is where the bomb bay goes. I wonder if putting the bomb bay door in will spread that a bit. Let's find out. Okay, so that's where this goes. Yeah, these sides could actually spread out a bit. So see how this joint isn't quite making this side of the fuselage needs to come out slightly relative to that. So I'll get back to you on this. Okay, what I've done is I've used the quick setting extra thin cement here. I've used that to tack this seam here. This is between the side of the fuselage and the wing root. Okay, so I've pushed that sideways whilst that's set, and it sets quite quickly, as the name suggests. Done that on both sides. Then this bomb bay door area just sort of slots in. It's not quite great fitting here, but it's fitting side to side is fine. It then fits in with the fuselage. Okay. The only bit it doesn't fit in with well is the nose cone, but you know what? I'm happy to just fill those bits. There's nothing major there. I can fill those bits and just scribe a little bit of line in, and that will do me for the moment. I think that will do. But it's looking really cool actually so far. Tailplanes next. Yep, tailplanes just go into these little slots. So often, single piece one. None of this sort of two pieces nonsense you get with 1/48. Single piece horizontal stabilizer or tailplane. Now the fun part, it's trying to fit this transparency on. It's a little tricky as it comes in two parts. I'm using PVA glue. I'm using this PVA glue to be precise, Crystal Magic from AK. Any clear setting PVA glue will work best because any spillage obviously goes clear, so that's fine. But also PVA won't release any fumes or chemicals or stuff to craze the plastic, which is why we use it. Just got to try and get everything lined up Now, see, it's one of the other relevant bits. It's really not a great way to build a canopy, if I'm honest. It's not the best thing I've ever done or had to do. Okay, I think that's as close as I'm going to get it. I'll leave it for the moment and see how it sets. With the paint job, it's a simple two-tone top and simple base. It's nothing complicated on this one though. Fancy fancy markings or anything. It's very, very straightforward. Then we can just place the decals. Now the decals look very thick on this. I mean very thick. So plenty of decal setting solution. And we'll see how we go. I'm a bit worried about how thick these are, to be honest with you. Plenty of decal setting solution on there. Good, wet the surface properly. And then slide the decal over it. There you go. You can see straight away how this kind of just sort of flattens out completely and makes it very, very matte. That's because it's a very, very thick decal. So we'll see how we go with this. What I'm going to do, just to try and get it to set a bit more, just give it a bit of a roll over it, really, like that. So with a cotton bud in this case, and just try and get some of the excess from out from underneath it. I'm going to start making rockets now. They each come in halves, and these halves are designed. The pegs and holes and locations and everything are quite important. Unfortunately, the instructions are wrong, so just go with the halves that actually fit together, because there's these points here, because the tubes actually sort of sit next to each other. There's a kind of like a joint here, and then there's a little spot there, and that's where a supporting leg in the middle goes. So go through and just pick the right ones, right halves, basically, to go together. Now, the problem I've got is that I've ended up with two halves like this with the fittings on, grand, but then the other halves only have one alignment hole in. They don't have two, and it's just, I've got another pair exactly the same as that. One alignment hole instead of the two it needs. So I'm just going to knock off the alignment, these upper alignment holes, use the back ones, and take off the top ones and go for it. But it's not all that great, is it really? Okay, under the wings, first of all I'm going to put in the balance horns on the ailerons here. They'll be tricky, this one in particular will be tricky to place once the rockets are in place. Then first of all there's this center pillar that goes in. So. Then the rockets themselves go in. Like so. And you can see there's a little notch here. That meets up with the top of this. When the two halves of the rocket sort of lean in towards each other. And the holes first in. They kind of lean in, like so. And while we've got the plane upside down, we may as well put the wheel onto the undercarriage leg. Like so. And then place the undercarriage door as well at the front of the leg. We can also put the guns into the side barbettes as well. So then the propellers can go on. They slot into the back plates like so. Then the spinner sits around like this. And then it's complete, my Italeri Hornisse. It's old Italeri, if you like. The design isn't as good as their current aircraft by any means. It's a little bit clunky at times. However, the pieces do go together very, very well. There's very little filler indeed anywhere on this kit. The one thing I really don't like is the main canopy. I understand why it comes in two halves. I just wish it didn't. Other than that, it's a decent little plane. It's a decent little kit, and I enjoyed making it. Hope you do too. 3. Now, many of you who have been on this channel for a very, very long time will remember that it started out as an ordinary bloke does stuff, and this is why. You'll notice that the wheels on the undercarriage here are inside the line of the oleo leg. They're not on the rest of the video, and that's because I put them in the wrong way. So I've subsequently, having seen the one at Cosford, that's what alerted me to the fact. I then checked with the instructions to make sure Italeri hadn't made me do it wrong. They hadn't. I had just made the assumption, like on the BF-109, on the Junkers 88, and so on and so forth, the wheel would be on this side of the oleo, not that side. Wasn't paying attention. Please, 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 I hope it gives you inspiration to always double check the layout of things like wheels and exhaust stacks and where weapons go, and generally the right way round for stuff. I've had to re-glue the legs on in different places. I've yet to glue the front doors on. I'll do those in a minute. But when you're watching this video, do please remember, I've put the wheels on the wrong way round. They should be I've had them swapped left to right from where they should be, basically. Please don't make the mistake again yourselves. Please double check the instructions on everything you build. I promise I will in future. There it is then. Not a bad little kit, really. The fit is generally very good, and there are no real demons in there to speak of. The instructions are a bit awry at times with part numbers and things like that, but other than that, a bit of common sense and you'll get there in the end. And it makes a nice kit of a very sort of unusual and lesser known Second World War fighter. I enjoyed doing it. I hope you will too. If you've enjoyed watching the show, and I hope you have, please do remember, give it the old Imperial thumbs up on the like button below, because every like counts. And if you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, and you'll be notified of all my future content as it is published. Thank you so very much for watching. Hope to see you again on the channel very soon. Take very good care now, and goodbye.